there, beautiful friend. Welcome back to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsey, and if you're listening to this right now, then chances are you're somewhere in the messy middle of your journey, wondering if you're doing it right, wondering if it will ever get easier, or if you're strong enough to keep going. Friend, I see you, I was you, and that is why I help women just like you navigate freedom from their own messy middle, from their own craziness around food and body control. Today I have a special treat for you, girl. I have been spending time with the fam because it is Memorial Day weekend and we're wrapping that up. Actually, I'm recording the show on Memorial Day because I wanted to soak up all the goodness of the past couple of days with my family. I have a little treat for you, a story that is going to help really bring some awareness into your heart if you feel like you are just stuck. This one is going to challenge the way that you think, and I hope that it touches you. Let's do this. Hey girl, welcome to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsey Nickel, former competitive figure skater and perfectionist, turned God-led imperfect boy mom and digital CEO. If you find yourself constantly thinking about food and wondering if you'll wake up one day free from the obsessive thoughts and behaviors controlling your life, then I've created this podcast for you. Because I know exactly what it's like to be a downright hot mess, trapped in a destructive cycle of disordered eating. I finally found freedom, and you can too, girlfriend. So if you're ready to heal your relationship with food and body and break the chains of control and show up in your best health, then grab your favorite Tarjay journal and let's get to it. So you can start living your best life as your best self. Right now, you wake up and food is the first thing on your mind. Before your feet even touch the floor, you're already calculating what you'll eat today, what you won't eat today, how you're going to make up for yesterday. Sis, if your days revolve around meal timing, safe foods, being in your routine, and the exhausting mental gymnastics of managing your eating disorder, I am so here for you. You're tired. You're so incredibly tired of living in a body that feels like a prison, of having a brain that never shuts off, of feeling like you're watching your life happen from the sidelines while your eating disorder calls all the shots. I have been there. Maybe you've been fighting this battle for months, years, or decades. I get it. You've tried willpower, different diets, therapy that only scratch the surface, and you've had countless attempts to just eat normally. But here you are, listening to this podcast, still trapped in the same cycles that are stealing your life. What if I told you that in 6 months from now, you could have a completely different life? I want you to imagine yourself waking up tomorrow and food isn't your first thought. Instead, you're thinking about your coffee, your day, what's on your agenda. Maybe you're even excited about breakfast because you've learned to trust yourself again. I want you to think about looking at yourself in the mirror, and your first instinct isn't to pick apart everything you see. Maybe you don't love everything about your body, but you can appreciate what it does for you. You can get dressed without the daily battle or the constant fight, trying on multiple outfits and then just deciding not to go at all because nothing feels right. So this isn't a fantasy. This is what happens when you commit to real and lasting recovery with the right support. And so before I dive into the topic of today's show, which is all about a roller coaster, I just want to invite you in to my container and support, because I feel like if you're tired of living in the ups and the downs on this roller coaster that's this never-ending windy ride, it's time. It's time for you to step into your best future self. You don't have to do that alone. You can find out how I can support you, and you don't have to wait any longer. So I encourage you, if this sounds like something that you're interested in and you're just like, I need a boost, I need somebody to help me, Lindsey, I can be your girl. Right now, I'm taking a few limited number of clients. You can find out how we can partner together at herbestself.co. So let's dive into today's episode content. I cannot wait to bring this to you. This weekend, my husband and I surprised our boys to go to Busch Gardens. We live about 20 minutes away from Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and we've been there a lot, but we have not taken our boys in quite some time because the last time I took my kids was when I was changing diapers, and I vowed to myself never again to do that. So it has been quite some years. My youngest son just turned 7, and so this is his first time at Busch Gardens. We spent most of the day just being there as a family, looking at the Clydesdales, going on the Skyline, being on some of the more kiddie-friendly rides, you know, the ones that feel safe, the ones that feel predictable. But there was this one roller coaster looming over everything. And for those of you who have ever been to Busch Gardens, they used to have a ride called the Big Bad Wolf. And they had since closed that ride, and they actually reopened the Big Bad Wolf Revenge, I think it's called, this past weekend. And so all day, my youngest son kept looking at it with this mix of fascination and this also just absolute terror written all over his face. And finally, after hours of him asking, you know, Mom, should we try it? Should we go? We found ourselves in the line. And let me tell you, watching him in that line was like watching someone in early recovery. The closer we got to the front of the line, the more his anxiety ramped up. He would take a step forward, then he'd want to turn back, he'd look and see how far he'd come, and then he kept asking myself and my husband, what if I hate it? What if it's too much? What if I throw up? What if I can't handle it? And he would sit there and he would stare at the line and he would bite his nails. And I found myself saying things like, you don't have to love it to be brave enough to do it, dude. And sometimes we do hard things, not because they feel good, but because we want to see what we're capable of. But if you really don't want to try it, Mommy will walk you back and I'll stay with you until you're ready to try it. Or if you don't ever want to try it, that choice is yours. Well, when we finally got to the front and he climbed into that seat, I could see he was absolutely terrified. His hands were shaking as they strapped him in. And you know what? The entire ride was exactly what he feared it would be. I was sitting one row in front of him with my other son, my oldest son, and my husband was back with my youngest son. And I would turn around and look at his face every single time we went up or we went down or we did a dip. Like, he was mortified. He didn't just suddenly love roller coasters. He didn't have some magical transformation where terror turned into joy. He spent the entire 2 minutes of that ride with his eyes squeezed shut, gripping the safety bar, counting down the seconds until it was over. When the ride stopped and we got off, he was shaky, overwhelmed, definitely not asking to go do it again. But here's what struck me. As we walked away and everybody was asking, my oldest son, my husband, we were asking, you know, did you like it? Did you like it? He looked up and he said to me, Mom, that was awful. I really didn't like it at all. But I'm proud I did it. I thought I was too scared, but I wasn't. And that moment, it taught me something so profound about recovery that I just knew I had to come and press record for you and share this. Because I wish someone had told me the same thing years ago. Here's what nobody tells you. You don't have to enjoy it for it to be changing your life. I know that's not what you want to hear, friend. I know you're probably hoping that at some point, challenging those thoughts in your mind is going to start feeling empowering and exciting. And maybe you're waiting for that magical moment when eating that fear food just feels supernatural, or when weight restoration actually feels good for you, when sitting with the anxiety without behaviors feels peaceful. And maybe you will get that eventually. But what if you don't? What if going all in? What if getting on the ride? What if screaming the entire time is more like my son's roller coaster experience? What if it's just necessary? It's transformative, but it's absolutely terrifying from the beginning to the end. And what if the victory isn't in this loving process, but in staying on the ride anyway? Because the truth is that once they strap you into that thing, your feet are dangling and there is nowhere to go. You can't get off mid-ride. Think about where you are right now. Maybe you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Maybe you're listening to the show and you're still in denial that there's a problem at all. Maybe every single bite, every single meal, it feels like a constant battle. Maybe you're gaining weight. but you hate how your body feels. Maybe you are determined never to gain weight, but you hate how your body feels. And maybe you're sitting with these urges without acting on behaviors, but that anxiety feels so crippling. Your eating disorder voice is probably telling you right now that if recovery was right for you, it would be better by now. You would be better right now. You would feel better by now. It's probably saying that other people make recovery look, well, easy and natural. So something must be wrong with you and it's just not for you. But what if the fact that it feels hard doesn't mean you're doing it wrong? What if it means you're doing something incredibly brave? See, just like my son didn't need to enjoy that roller coaster to prove that he had courage, you don't need to enjoy recovery to be successful at it. And every time you eat when that voice inside of your head tells you not to, friend, that is courage, even if it feels awful. Every time you choose rest over compulsive exercise, that is strength, girl, even if your anxiety is through the roof. Every time you look in the mirror and you don't immediately tear yourself apart, well, that's called progress. Even if you don't like what you see. Every single time you sit with those uncomfortable emotions without using food or the lack of food to numb them, that's healing. Even if it feels hard, even if it sucks. The eating disorder voice has convinced you that if something feels difficult or if something feels uncomfortable, then it must be wrong. But that is backwards thinking. The most important things that we do in this life require building relationships, building up and pursuing our dreams, healing past traumas. But they rarely feel comfortable while we're actually doing them. What I loved most about my son's reaction wasn't that he conquered his fear of roller coasters. He's probably never going to go on another big roller coaster again, and that is perfectly fine. I'm not a big roller coaster junkie either. But what I loved was that he discovered something about his little self. He discovered that he was stronger than his fear told him that he was. He learned that he could survive something that felt impossible, and he proved to himself that discomfort doesn't always equal danger. And that is exactly what is happening right now, even if you can't see it yet for yourself. Every meal that you eat, despite the fear, that is just proof. Proof that you can nourish yourself even when you don't feel like it. Every day that you choose the next right thing, despite the anxiety, that is just proof. That is evidence that you're stronger than what your mind wants you to believe. So here's the thing, girl. You might not feel super proud where you're at right now. That's okay. You might be terrified. You might be getting on the ride. But guess what? You're getting on it. Even when you feel scared. You might be going up the click, 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 click sound when you're terrified because you know that drop is coming. You know it's going to require weight gain. You know it's going to require surrender. And you are hanging on to dear life. But that doesn't mean that pride isn't coming. That doesn't mean that something's not happening and working in the background. My son couldn't feel proud until after he got off the ride and he realized all that he had just accomplished. Your recovery pride, it really might not show up for you until you are long far down the road, looking back at all you've done. It might not even arrive until you realize that the thing that felt impossible 6 months ago, a year ago, is now just part of your normal everyday. But I promise you this, it's coming because the roller coaster doesn't stop. You get on, you get off. And when you get off the ride, it won't be because it was easy. It won't be because it wasn't terrifying. It will be because you discovered you could do hard things. I want to talk a little bit about redefining recovery success for you and what that looks like in your life. Because I think we have got it all wrong. We've got it wrong in this industry, and we have it wrong because we set ourselves up for failure thinking we're doing something wrong. Recovery success, it isn't waking up one day and loving your body. It's choosing to treat your body with respect, even on the days when you don't love how you feel or how it looks. Recovery success, it isn't never having an eating disorder thought ever again. It's learning to recognize that those thoughts aren't serving you and choosing not to act on them. And recovery success, it isn't about finding joy in every meal or becoming a big foodie. It's actually showing up just to nourish yourself consistently, even when it feels scary to do that. Just like my son's success wasn't enjoying the roller coaster, it was getting on despite his fear. See, here's the thing that nobody wants to talk about. Your eating disorder wants you to believe that if it doesn't feel good, you're failing. But what if the opposite is actually true? What if the hardest parts of this process are actually where the most important work is happening? Because when you're struggling the most, when you feel like you cannot go one more day, when you feel like if there is one more drop, your stomach is going to come through your butt, maybe that's when every instinct is telling you to go back to those old patterns and behaviors. This is actually when the deepest work is happening. Because what happens in these moments? Well, not only are you rewiring decades of neural pathways in your mind by doing the opposite action, but in these moments, you're proving to your nervous system and to yourself that you can handle stress without restriction or overexercising. And that's when you are building these emotional muscles that you will carry with you forever. The struggle isn't a sign that recovery isn't working, girl. The struggle is the work. So I want to ask you something before I leave you for today. And I want you to really think about your answer. What would change for you this week if you gave yourself permission to be proud of your courage, even if life doesn't feel good for you right now? What if instead of waiting to feel confident about your next choice, you acknowledged how brave you are for making a choice in the first place? What if instead of comparing the difficult experience that you're going through right now to other people's highlights, you honored that your own strength for staying on the ride, even when every part of you never wanted to get on it, feels hard? Here's your challenge this week, girl. I want you to find one moment for this week, just one moment, where you choose a real recovery choice despite the feeling. Maybe it's eating breakfast when you're not even hungry. Maybe it's taking a rest day when your anxiety is high. Maybe it's taking a rest day after a rest day. I mean, would the world explode? Maybe it's reaching out for support when you just want to self-isolate. And instead of minimizing this moment or focusing on how uncomfortable it feels, I want you to say out loud to yourself, I am so proud of me for doing the hard thing. Here's the truth. You don't have to love it to do it. You don't have to love it to succeed at it. You just have to keep showing up. You have to keep getting back on the ride. Keep proving to yourself that you're stronger than your fears. My son may never become a roller coaster enthusiast, but he did learn something super invaluable about his own capacity for courage. And you're doing that, girl, every single time you choose recovery. You're discovering that you can do hard things. You're proving that discomfort doesn't equal danger. You're building a strength that will serve you long lasting. And here's what is even more comical. We got home, we were done for the day, we were exhausted. And he looks up at me and he says, Mom, maybe I'll go on it again. And I said to him, but I thought you said it was awful. And he said, it was awful, but it actually felt good to do something I was scared to do. Sis, it will feel good when you do something you're scared to do. If you're ready to stop waiting for recovery to feel comfortable before you're going to commit to it. If you want support and honoring your courage, even when it feels next to impossible right now, I'm here for you. You don't have to love every single moment of this journey. You just have to get on the ride. You just have to get on the ride. You can scream the entire way. Just get on the ride. I want to encourage you today to keep showing up, keep doing the hard thing, and keep getting on the ride. And if you haven't decided to jump on the ride to your recovery freedom, then I want to give you the courage today to do that. It should be scary. You're about to do something you haven't done before. Your bravery in this moment is building the foundation for your freedom tomorrow. Before I leave you, friend, I want to encourage you to go on out to my website. You can visit herbestself.co to find out so much more. You can take a free recovery quiz out there. There's other resources that I provide for you out there. And it gives us a way to connect and for you to hear my journey and story if you're new to this podcast. Girl, I love you, friend. And until next time, I want you to remember that you are worthy of recovery. And through the ups and the downs and the loop-de-loops, you totally got this. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye for now. Oh, friend, thank you so much for letting me share what was on my heart today. My hope for this podcast is to help more women find freedom from food and body. If this has empowered or blessed you, let me know. I'd be honored for your rating and review of my show, and I'd love to connect with you in my private Facebook community. You really can move from perfection to purpose. Let's break the chains together. I'll help navigate the way. Until next time, bye for now, girl.